I hope the old man got the tractor beam out of commission, or this is going to be a real short trip. Okay, hit it. Welcome back, everyone. Um, Here we are with part 3 of issue 98. So I'm not going to go into great detail and all that kind of stuff, but I will say that I missed the last 2 weeks of for putting out a video because my grandfather passed away, and I am going to dedicate this video to him. Not that he ever watched or anything, but I am going to dedicate it to him. Here we are. I suppose you're wondering, why do I have this little Millennium Falcon here? This was a Christmas gift from my daughter. It is a phone charger. So it's a wireless phone charger. So there you go. I just thought I'd share that. Now, what you might be asking is, what does a drill and 330 paracord have to do with anything? And the answer would be that we are going to be working on landing legs. And let me show you a couple of images here. And you'll see that there's these kind of hoses and cables and cords and whatever that hang down and around. And so we're going to be putting some of those in. But first, before we do any of that, we're going to do some detail painting. So let me get the drill out of the road without putting it through my monitor. And then we can get started on these. And so I've got a couple of ideas for the landing legs. They're all going to be different, but there are going to be some similarities because that's the way it works, right? So we are going to need some orange rust. We are going to need some brown, and I'm suffering a little bit from a sore shoulder, so moving around is not easy for me. We should have plenty of brown here. This is leather, so we'll have that. And then I think we have, this is rust, so I'm going to use those. And we're going to need some of our panel line color, probably some of the black. And I think we're also going to do a bit of silver, and you'll see what that's going to be like here in a moment or two. So that should cover most everything. There could be some chances for some grays and whatever, but so here I've got all of these painted, and let me tell you, painting these was not the most enjoyable thing I've ever done. The number of coats that I had to put on these just to try to get all these nooks and crannies, and they're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but there's so many angles to try to get painted. So like, I don't know if you can see that. So this area here, these little shelf part there, did not get covered extremely well, but that's okay because you're not going to see it very well. And honestly, these may not get used all that much anyway, so I'm not going to sweat it too much. Let's go ahead and get started. So one of the first things I want to do, the bottom of the feet are all going to need to get kind of dirtied up and whatnot. And I'm going to use the silver because my thought is these pads where all these circles are, I'm going to kind of put some silver on there as if, it kind of came down and kind of slid a little bit, and rub those kind of raw. So we'll do some silver and maybe some rust and whatnot in there, but we need to kind of dirty those up a little bit. So we're going to start with a little bit of the brown panel line and see what happens. And we're going to need something to wipe off our excess. When we get all of them painted, then we're going to break out the old drill and see if we can't put those cords in there. So let's go ahead and see how this goes. essentially I just don't want it clean, right? So we're going to put some of the brown on, and we might come back with some of the black. The good news is this is just for my own kind of purposes because, like I said, probably won't be using these. So it's just kind of for fun, just to see what we can do with it and that kind of stuff. So, and I don't care if a little bit drips over the side. You can see that. Doesn't bother me in the slightest because it's all going to be dirty. So I was just adding a little bit of randomness there, adding a little brown and black and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to let those dry real good, and then we'll come back with some rusts and other stuff and see what kind of effects we can get. So see you guys back here when this is all dry. Everything looks to be dry, and one of the things I like about these as opposed to some of these other washes that I have, everything doesn't come out all super glossy and all that. I mean, there's a little bit of gloss, but like I put a fair amount on these bottoms, and they're not all glossy. So, yeah, I really appreciate that. All right, now the next part, this is just, I mean, the whole thing is just artistic, whatever, intuition or whatever you want to say. Um, let's find, I need a brush. I have these two brushes. Get both of them out. All right, so we're going to go with what my plan is. I'm going to use this orange rust because it's kind of a lighter and whatnot. And it's more of kind of like, I don't know, what you would see like on surface stuff. And then I thought I might take this other rust and just put like a couple of spots where it's like really heavy rust or whatever. Because it's the Falcon, so you know it's going to be rusty. All right, so we're just going to take these one at a time. And Let's see what happens. That's everything painted. Now we get to try for the fun stuff. I'm going to let this paint dry. So hopefully the idea of why I painted these silver makes sense to everyone. So my thought is sometimes when it lands, it comes down, it's going to kind of skid and, slide on some concrete or whatever. In the galaxy far, far away, we call it Duracrete. But that's my thought, is it would hit and kind of slide, scuff that part off. As you can see, get the focus in. Those are the parts that's going to touch the ground, especially on like um, metal and concrete and that kind of stuff. So the paint would get rubbed off there. Um, so yeah, that's my thought on that. Let's make sure. And I didn't want to go like super silver, so I tried to make sure that I didn't get great coverage. And even like I got a little bit kind of missed a couple spots and got it off to the side. I'm not worried about that because I mean that could be a rock, you know, chipped away or something like that. So we'll let this set up and then that way I can come back with the drill, and we can do this last little part. So I'll see you guys here after a bit. I'm going to use this cord to simulate hoses. So one of the things I need to make sure that I can do is this cord is pretty close to the same size as this drill bit. So I'm going to need to make sure that I can actually get that inside there. So I'm going to see if I can drill them from this side without causing too much damage. So I want to have one hole here. So you can tell if you look here, I put one hole here, one hole there. These ones I'm putting right here. Reason why I put these kind of different is I'm going to vary these a little bit so that way the hoses and stuff hang a little bit differently. I don't want them to be uniform. So as you can tell, they're not the same length. They hang a little bit differently. So this one's going to hang down. I mean, obviously because it's a different length. But yeah, there we go. That's how we're going to do it. they're all glued down. Do a quick review. So one of these, I don't remember, might be this one. I wanted to kind of make it uniform on both sides, like as if this one's never had anything happen to it. So this one's fairly uniform as far as length goes. But yeah, so here we go. You get to see all of its dirtiness, and you can see the silver that I painted, and it's just very subtle, really. For me, like if I hold it just right, like I can tell, but it's pretty subtle. And here's another one. Oops. Sorry, I'm trying to look in the on on the video to make sure I'm getting it covered right. So like here, you can see I had this was kind of like the two-part rust, so I used the light or that orange rust and then a regular rust to kind of draw that out a little bit. Yeah. So these ones were kind of fun with the hoses. You kind of mix them up a little bit. So this one I kind of went one on either side and then one in between. Kind of seemed somewhat logical, almost as if that's what it would have done. And so you can see here again, darker rust, and then it looks like it ran down. So, and then same thing up in there, if you can see up in there. The idea being, so it ran down from there, and then it dripped right there onto that. And yeah, so that's what would rust would kind of do, right? It just kind of keep running down and keep dripping and stuff. And this pad here is very rusty, as you can tell, and looks like a little bit crooked, but that's okay. So there's that one, and the final one. And like I said, I wanted to make all of these very much different, and I think I got that accomplished. Oops, I stuck my finger in some glue. There you go. That is the landing legs, and that is the last bit of issue 98. So all the parts. Issue 99, we're going to get more parts for the rear section, and I am pretty positive that's what we're going to be working on next time. So that will be fun. There'll be lots of gluing and painting, I'm sure, because all of these I'll need to pre-paint ahead of time, much like I did on the bottom part. So there we go. That's the end of issue 99 or 98. Again, this video was dedicated to the memory of my grandfather. He wasn't particularly a Star Wars fan, and I don't think that he was really a modeling fan. But I wanted to remember him somehow, at least on here, particularly because he was important to me. So, anyway, there you go. May the Force be with you always.